Hello everyone, welcome to the penultimate day of our training sessions. Improve your chess with Sagar. And I hope that all of you are doing well and that all of you are gaining in chess strength. Welcome to the show. Today is the penultimate day, and we are going to look at games of a very famous player, but we're going to look at it in a different way. We are going to follow what we have learned in the last 21 days, and we are going to use the imbalance technique in the last 19 days, actually imbalance technique, to study the games of this great player. So who is that great player? If you can let me know in the comment section. Also, I would like to see who all are online today. So Prathamesh Divekar, Kalidos Pechi Ganesh, Ishir Narayanan, Alan K. Thomas, Shivam Chaudhary, Venki, Vaibhav Mazumdar, Arun Polekar, Swayam Ubale, Ricardo, Akshit Bhatia. Yeah, well, Shanks, R. Kasturi, Vishal Kumar, Srinivas Chhede, Dhanushka Yappa, Source of Randomness. Yes, as Niranjan Varyar, Dhanushka Yappa, Mayur Hegde rightly point out also, Swayam Ubale, that today is actually the birthday of none other than Garry Kasparov, the 13th world champion in chess. And we're going to look at his games today, and this is going to be a very interesting class. Uh, we're going to look at it in a different way. Okay, so today is his 57th birthday. I don't know how many Kasparov fans here. Mm, but you can let me know in the comments how many of you love Kasparov. Uh, so, shall we begin with our usual dose of tactics? So, I'll just share the screen and we go to account.chessbase.com and we go to the tactics training. Let's solve some positions. So this one is black to move. Yeah, well, Aditya Ramanathan has said something very interesting. Today the date is 4/3, so that is 13th of April 2020. So if you add 13 plus 4 plus 20 plus 20, you get 57, and that's the birthday of Kasparov. Very nice, Aditya. You are like this mathematician. Yeah, you work with facts. Work with numbers. Okay. Arun Dikshit says, I'm a bigger fan of Karpov. I like Kasparov. Okay, interesting. So no single moves here. As we know, let's try to polish ourselves in the last couple of days. Let's not try to. So Sani Deshpande has given me moves. NC3, Rook D1, Knight D1, Rook C1. Okay, but it's not over yet. Yeah, if King A2. So knight c3 is one option that you can think about, and the other option is knight e3 also. So you need to actually decide. We have Angela today who's online. Angela Franco, who's a WIM and also a wonderful chess player. She's also my sister because when she got married, I was there as her brother. My parents were there at the wedding as her parents. So she calls me Hermano. I call her Hermana. And she's here today watching this show. Welcome, Angela. Great to see you. And of course, she's wife of Niklesh Jain, who runs Chess Base India Hindi. Okay, so knight e3 is suggested by few of you, and after rook into d8, rook c1, king a2, go knight c2 with a, is it a forced mate? Because I'm looking at some possibilities where I can move this bishop and try to save myself. But also, I mean, if you look at it, knight c3 check, then just takes with the bishop. So in a way, it doesn't seem knight c3 works. So if you go knight e3, he takes on d8, rook c1 check, king a2, and I think here you need to think a bit as to what you would like to do. There's also a possibility to give a check on a1, king a1, queen c1, king a2, and then knight c2. I think that should work, but then he has rook f8, king f8, I guess, unless he has certain checks which I'm have to be careful about. Okay, let's go knight e3, take bishop d2. Oh, okay, we should come back to this and try to understand it much deeper as to what's happening. But what do you play now? I guess no one considered the moves bishop d2 here. Yeah, knight into d1. This looks uh, like a good move. But if we go back, and this is definitely critical, I mean, so I was thinking of giving a check, king here, and now it seems like there are several ways to kind of win this position. Yeah, like you can go knight c2 as has been pointed out by few of you. Um, seems seems winning, yes, because after, let's say, even if I sacrifice the rook, or if I give you a check, king g7, I don't see another check, and if you take on f8, I can take, and there's just no way to stop this. Even if you move the bishop, ah, bishop d2, rook h1, bishop h6, but even this seems okay. Maybe king e7 I can go to. So it's always complicated, yeah. Like if you go here, I think you're already gone. Check. So I was just thinking rook f8. Maybe if it's an unstoppable mate, we can already think of king g7 here. Yeah. Yeah, even this possibility did exist of giving rook a1 check takes, queen c1, king a2, knight c2. But I don't like it because I can move my bishop somehow, and also there are so many. So for example, just a sample line like take queen c5, even such a position is just fine for black. You can't sacrifice so much material. Yeah, well, perhaps even just a move like queen d8 should work, because this is pinned, and next move you can go knight c2 and you don't have to worry so much. Okay, let's go to the next one. This one is white to move. I think overall the tactics trainer has recognized that today is perhaps the penultimate day, so have to give you tough positions. So that's what it's doing here. White to move, what do you do? Well, try to think carefully, because a lot of things are happening here. Straight queen c2. Okay, queen c2 maybe straight away, like rook c1, king a2, queen c2 would have been good. So what do you play here? Murad Taj says, Master, here in our country, Morocco, Africa, I am so far to you by distance. Also, it's 4:42 a.m. in Morocco, but by heart, I am very close to you. You are very pedagogue. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Murad, for attending at such a tough hour. I mean, 4:42. What are you doing? You should be sleeping. Okay, so knight g5 here. Well, if you go knight g5, I'm not forced to take on d4 and allow you this check. Suppose if you go knight g5 and I play queen into c3, also possible, because if knight into e4, I have queen e1 mate. So maybe, as rightly pointed out by Agastya Day, Vishal Kumar, Vaibhav Mazumdar, and also Ilam Parthi, that I can begin with c4, and then basically if you take here, then I can go bishop b2, launching a deadly kind of an attack on the king. And if you come here, then already I guess queen g5 check followed by a discovered check should end the game. So this looks bad. But c4 followed by bishop b2 was very interesting. Okay, let's do the last one. It's a study, but it's an easy one. It's an easy one. Finally, an easy one. This looks like a simple one. I think all of you should find it within a few seconds. Well, everyone's asking me whether I'm going to extend the classes. And yes, I have certain ideas about it, which I would discuss with all of you. As mentioned yesterday, we have to find a better time. KK Wadera says, I live in Denmark right now and it's 5 a.m. Okay, fantastic. Wonderful. I'm very happy that people from different countries have come together to learn chess, and we are discussing chess together. It's really amazing. Yeah, well, all of you got it right, which is e6, g1 queen, and e7 mate. Fantastic. By the way, just a reminder to all of you that if you would like to donate towards the cause of coronavirus, fight against coronavirus, you can do so from the super chat, and also from the link in the description. There is a pay you money link, so you can donate through that. Yeah, so let's move to today's class. And Tokan says, I'm from Germany. And Kubdia has contributed $5. And the mystery continues of the mystery man who says, one more for a good cause, so not to reveal myself yet. And true, I mean, yesterday I spoke with Amruta, and I told her that someone knows your parents, your brother sends regards to your family, and she started thinking about all the chess players in USA, and it seems like a very impossible task to find out who the person is. Well, Kubdia, we are waiting for you to reveal yourself. And okay, so let's look at some games. So I have to change this now that all of you know who the player it is we are talking about. We are going to write here Garry Kasparov turns 57 years old. Yeah, today. I'll maybe break it up a bit to make it look good. Okay, and put this across like this. So yeah, today's class is basically a tribute to Gary, but also it is to reinforce what we have already learned in these days. It's not somewhere where you just look at the beauty of Kasparov's games and say to yourself, wow, he's a genius. I can never play like that. But to try to understand, to break it down, how he's playing and to improve. Okay. So let's begin with a few games which you may not know. There are a few games which many of you may know, but I would like to start with a few games that people may not be knowing. So let's look at one game which I was not aware of actually. And this is a famous game between Kramnik and Kasparov. Okay, and they both have played several good games, by the way. But this one is interesting. So Kramnik, as always, began with d4. He likes to play the closed systems, knight f3 or d4. And Kasparov, like always, played bg7. His King's Indian defense, d6, knight f3, castles, bishop e2, e5 is the classical system. And usually people castle so that after knight c6 you go d knight e7. But here he played d5 so as to not let the knight develop to c6 and e7. So Kasparov played a5. His idea is to put the knight like this. Bishop g5 was played, h6, bishop h4, knight a6, castles, bd7, knight d2, knight c5. And here Kramnik played the move b3. So now it's your move as black. What would you play here? And try to think about all the different imbalances in this position and then try to come to a move. Yes, Saurav Banerjee, welcome. You said you are late, but you are giving important information. D5 on the seventh move is the Petrosian system. Absolutely right. Let's try to understand the imbalances here, what's happening, and then try to come to a move. Rather than suggesting the move straight on, Sura Satya, you said you are studying 100 endgames. You must know that's very good. Do study it. Alan K. Thomas said he attended a lecture by Nurture today morning from 6 to 7 by Konstantin Landa, and now I'm training with you. Well, Alan, you need to take some rest as well. This is quite tiring. Okay, so first of all, let's begin with the minor pieces. I know that it's very easy to suggest moves, and that's true. Yeah, like you can suggest moves, for example, a sacrifice here, but the chances of you finding it in your games will be minimal. So let's look at what Shank says. White's light squared bishop is bad. Not very bad, but okay, you can definitely say because of these pawns right now, yes, it is bad. Same for black's square bishop, yes, that's true. White has more space, absolutely right, because of his pawns in the center. And c5 and d4 are outposts. I wouldn't call c5 an outpost yet because I can anytime play a3 b4 and kick the knight away. But I can say the knight is sitting well on c5 right now. d4 is definitely an outpost, but all the squares which lead to it, like let's say b5, c6, e6, f5, are all controlled by pawns. So you cannot come in there. So in a way, you can say that these pawns give white more space. Yeah, that's the biggest factor here. I think the space advantage. Uh, and many of you have figured out that there is a bad bishop. Now, I wouldn't kind of blame you if you went for the move c6 here, because well, you are trying to fight space by breaking in the center, and it looks completely logical. But what Kasparov did here, and which was he actually tried to find the drawback in this position, the last move, which was b3. He saw that this knight is slightly undefended. And you know, if you ask yourself this question many times, what is the drawback of my opponent's last move? You realize something, and that's the reason why he played the move knight takes e4. Very good. uh, all those who suggested this move, it's really a fantastic move, because now if you take this knight, I can take your bishop and I'm a pawn up. But he took the queen, Kramnik. Now knight into c3. You have to defend this bishop here, so he played queen e1 and then rook f d8. To keep control on the a pawn, he kept his rook on a8. And well, the position has changed completely, and once again it would be a good time to do the imbalances. What's happened in this entire sort of struggle? So do you think that white is better here or black is better? The reason why I'm asking you today, you may have to do a lot of imbalances, because I want to put this system in your head that you try, you do it again and again. Comes a time when you are like, yes, I know it, I don't need to do it anymore. Aditya, if you play g5, then anyway the knight was protected. Like here, if you play g5, sorry, e4 is protected, so you cannot win a pawn. And this is kind of a good position for white. He will play queen c2, he will play a3, he will play b4, slowly improve his position. So that's the reason why knight e4, bishop d8, and now it's time to once again take stock. White is materially up, that's true. White is definitely materially up. Black has, white is a bit cramped, you know, yes, this entire thing here looks a bit cramped. But he is, right now he has a queen for two minor pieces and a pawn, so materially is, you can say, 2 points up. Black's position is positionally winning, says Arun Dikshit. Yes, that could be true, because it's all very passive, and I would say that one very important factor which you must consider is these central pawns. You know, once the pawn comes to f5, it's going to make it even more difficult for these pieces on e2 and d2 to get good squares. Yeah, Vishal Kumar says black after a time will get more space, and he has four minor pieces. He has the initiative. So I would say that this position is definitely easier to play for black right now. Well, uh, Pogo Slayer, if you go g5, knight h7, f5 in that position, Well, maybe this is just better than that option, so it is possible to play that way. Somehow this looks much better. Rook c1, he took on a2, rook a1, knight b4, bd1, e4. You can't really take this because of the rook hanging on a1. So therefore, rook b1, rook e8, and now f5. And you will see that these pawns are just tremendous for black. Knights have beautiful outposts. Well, to beat Kramnik like this, of course it was a blitz game, so we are not going to say that Kramnik missed such an option because it happens in blitz. But still, it's a beautiful, pretty game where black completely outplayed his strong opponent. Knight f4, king g1, knight d3, takes. And black can just take his time to win, and here he won back the material, and then later on he won the game. So this was a nice game. I wanted to start off with this because it was a very sort of a simple kind of a game. Now a lot of people know there are two games of Kasparov which are very famous. Okay, so we are going to come to it towards the end. One is against Karpov, and the other one is against Topalov. So we are going to come to those games. But let's look at another King's Indian. Uh, Shashank says, I'm a huge fan of Kasparov. Kasparov moves knight into rook d5. Okay, and queen into bishop e3. Which are those games? Okay, so this one is with Piket. Okay, Piket is a strong player from the Netherlands, and again King's Indian. So if anyone wants to learn the King's Indian, Kasparov is your go-to man. So this was a classical line, and we have seen a beautiful King's Indian yesterday by none other than Ilam Parthi. Very nice game by him. G5, b4, knight f6, c5, knight g6, cd, cd, rook c1. Okay, so the battle lines are clearly drawn. White is going to play on the queen side with his pieces here. Black, whose pawn structure is pointing towards the king side, wants to play there. So there is this theory called as pawn pointing theory. I don't know if you know about it, but it says that whichever directions the pawn points towards, usually you play in that direction of the board. So here you can see black's pawns are pointing towards the king side, so you play in this direction. It's a concept, not always true, but it's logical. Yeah, if the pawns are pointing this side, you have space on that side, uh, and you have a look at, you play in that wing. By the way, a big thanks to Jaideep, who says have to leave early today, office day, will catch the episode later at night. Well, thanks a lot, Jaideep, for your contribution like always. And you are going to work, but you still contribute. Very kind of you that you are doing this. And I guess today a lot of people would have office, but still everyone is here, and we are working together. That's wonderful to know. Okay, so rook f7 was played, a4. I'm showing you the entire game. I could take you to the critical position, but I want you to know how the position was reached. So knight b5, and now Kasparov went ahead with g4, because until now g4 was not possible. To prepare it, you had to go h5. G4 would have been just met with fg4. So here, after knight moves, g4 becomes possible, because if you take, then already this knight is slightly hanging in the air. So therefore you can play like fg, knight g4, bishop here, and bishop b5. This becomes possible. So knight c7 was played by Piket, and Kasparov said, "You missed this move, g3. I'm going to sacrifice my pawn for it." And perhaps the idea is that if you take bishop g3, I will go knight to h5, and next move my queen will join in. I don't care about my rook here. Take it. I'm going to use my two knights, rook, bishop, and queen, to launch a deadly attack. Maybe the bishop can also join via h6. So knight into a8 was played, and here knight h5. The game continued, knight h5. uh, the bishop is anyway sort of trapped, yeah, here. Like for example, if you go knight h5 and now you try to save the bishop, then already like this is finishing off the game. This is a very common pattern in the King's Indian, and if you go h3, I'll just take this and you will be checkmated in a few moves. So therefore he played king h1, and now you remember yesterday where, let's say if you go here, then bishop g1, but somehow this knight is protecting g2, so it's not very easy like yesterday, like in Ilam Parthi's game. uh, but king h1 was played. Now Kasparov took on f2, rook f2, and he gave a check. This is again a very nice move. The point being that if you take here, I take back, threatening a check, and also the rook. So that's winning. So king g1, and now he took here, and well, it was still possible to take on g3, but in the game he went bishop c4. And now I would like you to think here. uh, well, thinking in terms of imbalances is still a very good idea here. I'll tell you why, but let's try to think what are the major imbalances in this position, and then you can maybe come up with the right move. Shashank says the games. Well, in general, I don't want to show Kasparov's losses today. That's why I was confused. Of course, these are famous games uh, which you have suggested of Kasparov and Anand, but Anand won those games. Ilam Parthi says, I know this game very good. This is a very famous game. Happy Bihu, says Parimita. Yeah, today is Bihu, so happy Bihu to everyone here. Very good, Ilam Parthi. Uh, Shesha Reddy and Ilam Parthi have got it right. Tinku Saha as well. But this is really a brilliant move, yeah. Like black has the initiative, says Karan Parik. Yes, you are right. Black has the bishop pair, also correct. Safe king, king is safe, correct. White king is under some pressure. Uh, Black has, yeah, but there's one, these positions you must also look at what are the weaknesses in the position. Yes, John Wong has rightly pointed out there are weaknesses on the dark squares because the dark square bishop is gone. If you don't notice it, then you will never be able to get the move that Kasparov played here. Of course, many of you, because I asked you this question, are able to get it, and it's very good that you are able to find it. But if you look that all the dark squares are weak, then you will find the next move, which is simply amazing. Cyan Roy says white has rook for two pieces. Yes, so actually black is materially up. That's what had to be seen. Black has the initiative, black pieces are well developed, but you will see that actually speaking, white wants to take here now, because there's space for his rook to move. Earlier the bishop was here, so the rook was getting trapped sort of. Now after a6, which was a brilliant move by Kasparov, I think this is just tremendous chess. He wants to use this square and the dark squares in the position. Oops, that's a bad arrow. This way. So knight d3 was played. Sorry, queen d3 was played. Queen a7, because now let's imagine that if you take here, what is the issue? I guess one of them can be simply to take. Yeah, Aditya has written in detail, black has more space on the king side, white has more space on the queen side. Black has the initiative, black has a safer king, black has the bishop pair, black has two pieces for a rook. Evaluation is minus plus. But dark squares are weak. This is very important to understand. And here maybe edge g3 can be met with um, fg, and then next move you can bring your queen in from here, knight jumps to f4, and this is very good compensation. So he played queen d3, but after queen a7, b5, ab, bishop b5. Well, what is the move that black played to win this game? Very nice move to end the game. Yeah, Sanchit, you're copying Aditya's answer. That's not fair. Yeah, Suyan Sharma also rightly pointed out that after hg3, fg3, you can even go with your queen here and bring it to h4. That would be more powerful. But anyway, here, white to move and win. Yes, Kasturi, you are absolutely right. Keshav, the winner, may be something better than your move. Sayan Roy is correct. Subra Das, Anish Adiga, Reema Singh, Pradeep Das, Practical Thinking, Chanchal Jha, Sumed Ramteke. Fantastic. All of you have got the right move. It's really a very cute looking move. Knight h1. And, well, white resigned. So this was Piket versus Kasparov. Very nice game. And you like, basically the thing to remember here is the attack with g4 g3, sacrificing material, and then using this little a6 move, which is really so very nice. I mean, it's beautiful. Okay, let's go to one more impressive game. Manoj Kumar says, thank you, Sagar, for your classes. Now I know how to analyze my games. Well, that was one of the main aims of this entire session, and I'm glad that you guys have at least taken a liking towards your game, because it's very important to be able to analyze your own games. It's very important. Okay, so this one is now a famous game from Nixich 1983, and I think some of you may know this. It's, by the way, thanks a lot Manoj Kumar for contributing 200 rupees. Really nice of you. Okay, so Kasparov is white against Portish. Portish is a famous Hungarian GM, and Kasparov used to like to play this a3 move. You know, this is a very well-known move by Kasparov, Petrosian. Both of you them used to play this. Bishop e7, check, bishop d3, c5, castles, knight c6, bishop b2, rook c8, and you know, this is a normal kind of a position. You could go for the e4 break, but Kasparov decided to go for the c4 break. Take, knight a5, and here came the powerful move d5. Okay, uh, takes, bishop d5. And I want you to think a bit over here. You've given up a pawn, but how would white continue here? John Wong says Queen B8 A7 maneuver was used by Stein earlier years. That's true. Ilam Parthi says, I know this game well, it's very good. In fact, I knew most of the games, but it's very important to actually kind of revise these games, look at it deeper from the point of view if you can find a defense for your opponent, for Kasparov's opponent. And yes, all of you are right that right now this bishop is a little bit loose. Always remember, if a piece is undefended or is loosely defended, in this case it's attacked once and is defended once, there is always a possibility of tactics coming up. So in this position, you take here, king takes and play rook into d5, and this rook is well placed. Portish went back king g8, and now Kasparov to play. White to move. What would you do here? Yes, Saurav Banerjee, you are right. It's like Laskar's double bishop sacrifice. Yeah, this is a very famous game, but for all those who don't know, it's a very important one to know. In So what should white play now? The thing about this game is that when you sacrifice your material, sometimes you can calculate everything. Like for example, here you could calculate bishop h7, rook d5, and you are happy with this position. But sometimes when you sacrifice, like in this position, bishop into g7, you have to do a bit of the work on your intuition. You have to leave it alone, which means that you need very good attacking field. For example, king g7, there's not even one check that is useful in this position. But after knight e5, Kasparov could feel that look, the king is weak, my knight is in the center, my rook is well placed, my queen will join in, and usually three pieces in an attack is good for a pawn, or you can say like opening up the king. If you have three pieces in the attack, it should be quite strong. So here there are many moves that can be played, but in the game rook f d8 was played. I think let's say if he goes queen c2, the idea is that the queen is here and could also defend backwards, then check, king h7, rook d3, and now threatening rook h3 mate. So here check, king g8, check, and if you take the rook, then I can win the queen. Not that. I can win the queen and win the game. Yes, there is this. Ahmed Justin rightly points out that Kasparov likes to use this concept: how many pieces attacking versus how many pieces defending. Very good, Ahmed, for reminding this. So what Kasparov says is that right now I have one piece attacking, one piece here, one piece here, and this. These four pieces can be in the attack, while Black has say two pawns and bishop and perhaps the queen, which can join in the defense. So he considers that when you give up one attacker for one defender, I know it's a bishop for a pawn, but still you got out one key defender, and that's why it makes sense. So when you are attacking, you can also think in this way: which are the pieces in my opponent's position which are defending, and if I can give up one of my attacker for one of the defenders, then it could really work out well. So here check, king f8, and now came queen f5, threatening a mate on f7, f6, check, rook takes. Well, if you don't take, then already knight f6 is hanging, so takes, queen c5, and now queen h7, rook c7, check, king f7, rook d3, and you will see that although the material is roundabout even, black has two pieces for a rook and white has rook and one pawn, but still the king is the key element. You see the eighth point in our imbalances chart, king safety. This is what gives white a winning advantage here. Rook f d1, knight e5, queen h7, king e6, check, king f5, g4, king f4, rook d4, king f3, and now queen b3, and it's a mate. So, well, Portish resigned. So this was a very nice game, and let's go to one more game of Kasparov. Um, Several good games that can be seen. Uh, I mean, the entire class might also not suffice. Here's one game which I saw when I was young, and it stuck in my head. And maybe today's class will help to stick it in your head as well. E4, C5, knight F3, E6, D4, takes, knight F6, knight C3. You should tell me which game this is. I'm not going to tell you. Bishop F4, we reach the Sveshnikov. D5, knight D5, bishop E7, bishop takes. This is all mainline theory in the Sveshnikov. Knight C2, knight B8, A4, takes. Nowadays, very few people develop bishop here. They castle, and there are other lines which are more popular, like bishop G5 as well. But here, this knight B8, it was, you can say, not very usual. After knight d7, Kasparov played a nice move, rook b4, and then knight c5 was played, and now it's white to move. What would you play here? Okay, so Kasparov is white. Who's black? Do you know this? Ilam Parthi, you have the move right, but the opponent is wrong. It's not short, and not 93 as well. Shri Kumar KC, you are right. Practical thinking, Harinanda, Divya HL, all of you are absolutely right. Well, everyone's got the right move. It's excellent. But no one has got the player right. Who's black? Yeah, Harinanda got the player right. That's true. Also, Pradyumna Kanukolu has got it right. The right move here, and really a brilliant move by Kasparov, is rook into b7, as many of you said. But the point is, after knight into b7, what would you play here, and how would you say that you have compensation for just giving up a rook for a bishop? What should be white's move here? Yeah, Shiro is the correct opponent. Kasparov Shiro 1994 is the move. Atharva, what do you have to say about this? What is White's best move here? Kramnik used to play Sveshnikov a lot in his youth. Definitely. Kramnik was a Sveshnikov fan, die-hard fan. He popularized that opening a lot during that period. Ahmed Justin, you are right. Also Harinanda, you are right. Chanchal Jha is right for the move. Suhas, well, possible. Your move is not bad, but you should try to limit your opponent's pieces. This is really a fantastic move. The knight on b7, if you look, would love to come back in the game, attacking this pawn and maybe jump to e6 if required. And so the right move here is b4. Well done for everyone who found this move. Without this move, actually the rook sacrifice doesn't make sense, because now you have a dominating knight. The other knight may join in. The bishop is pretty good, could go to c4 or e2. And very importantly, this knight says to me itself, what should I do? Where should I go? Can I go here? Can I go here? It seems everything is blocked. bg5, knight a3, castles, knight c4. a5 was also allowed, but you see, you're not going to give up that pawn on b4. So bishop d3, takes. So this pawn still limits this knight, and this is one of the important rules in chess, that if there is a knight and you have a pawn which is two squares away from it, it's knight's biggest enemy. So even in the end game, let's for example say uh, you have a pawn here, okay, something like this, then this pawn moving here and is two squares away, the knight, in order to attack it, it's very difficult, because this square is controlled by the knight, by the pawn. And if you go here, then again this is again a distance which is very favorable. In a way, the knight cannot like the pawn cannot be attacked by the knight for another three moves, so come here, here, it takes three moves. So there are two distances which you should remember, which are very useful. One is the pawn has two squares away from the knight, and the other one is, it could be even here, like in this direction. If the knight is here, it limits the knight. And the other one is if there is one square distance between the two. So that really helps you to understand these things. And coming back to the game, you understand that the b7 knight is dominated by the pawn on b4. Yeah. Okay, queen b8, h4, bishop h6, nc b6, rook a2, castles, rook d2, queen f3. And you will see that white is playing completely on the light squares. Yeah, he's got excellent control. Knight d7, and now he won back some of the material. b5, and the rest was not difficult. I mean, Kasparov usually finishes off with ease. If you take here the bishop, queen d7 is very strong. And so king e8, bishop c4, queen h7, check, knight b6, and take on c4. Well, later on, it ended the game pretty quickly. He resigned because knight f5 is coming up. So now let's look at another one. I like this game. Not very popular, not very well known, but definitely something to learn from it. um, yeah, sooner or later we'll have to move to Kasparov versus Karpov games, because those were really some of the great battles that they fought. But I want to first show you a bit more of these games. This one I really love. I think I studied it when I was very young, and I spent hours and hours. I remember I wrote the analysis in the notebook for this game. It was, so you have to tell me who's white, who's black. Does anyone remember this game of Garry Kasparov? And it's the Benoni, yeah? One of the most aggressive systems. We have been discussing this. It's strategically risky because you're giving white these central pawns to move forward, but you're hoping your piece activity will compensate for it. E4, rook f8 with the idea of f5. Now you want to go f4, but g3 keeps hanging, so he went king h2, and now came f5, f4, and well, black to move. Bob Dunkley says on the last day, please arrange an open tournament online. Well, Bob, the there is a tournament online, and it's been organized by Chessbase India. It's called BKT Online Tournament. So if you would like to play it, just go bktonline.chessbase.in and you can register for that event. It's a very strong event. Yes, Korchnoi versus Kasparov says Ahmed Justin Sanchit S. You are right. You see, the knight is attacked, and where should you play it? What should be white's black's move? Now, if you said take on g3, which looks possible, I take king g3. What's your idea? Maybe you don't have a much happening here. So what should black play in this position? Yes, Shuyan Sharma, you are right. John Wong says the idea was first discovered by Timon. This one, black's move. Yeah, knight g4 possible, but I just take it. You know, sometimes it's very difficult to guess the moves, what's coming up, but Kasparov had this ability to sense things, and when you combine it with the ability to calculate as well, which he had some phenomenal calculation ability. um, I feel like he's a genius because he played the move b5 here, which is just so good. He wants to put his pawn on b4, but the thing to notice is he has to calculate f into e5. He has to calculate a into b5, takes knight into b5, knight c into b5. There's so many lines to look at, and he was able to have the clarity of thinking. For example, if fe5, he knew that this move actually allows his bishop to come here, and so he spots the move knight into g3, king g3, bishop e5, which leads to a powerful attack. And so therefore ab5 had to be played, ab5, and now knight ab5. The point is that at some things your rook got activated, this knight is slightly hanging in the air, so a lot of factors are now moving towards black's advantage. So he took here, uh, bishop e4 was played, but now you know that of course taking here is risky because of knight into g3 and also bishop into e5, which creates a lot of problems. So bishop e4, bd7, queen e2, queen b6, again attacking b5, knight a3, rook b e8, bd2, I think this was a mistake in the game. Queen into b2, fe5, bishop e5, and now this is hanging here. So knight c4, knight g3, rook f8, rook f8, queen e1, knight takes e4, and well, he went on to win this game. Knight d3. Well, I'm not going into great depth here, but Kasparov managed to convert. Uh, By the way, a big thanks to Saurabh Bhave who says this has been a great initiative. Have been following live whenever possible and late otherwise. I'm from Mumbai too and hope to meet you in person sometime. Definitely, Saurabh. Thank you for your contribution of 500 rupees. And you can come to Chess Base India office in Vidyavihar in Mumbai. Would be very nice to meet you. Of course, when things settle down after some maybe a month or two. This game was actually analyzed by Yasser Sairavan in his book Winning Chess Brilliancies. And Sairavan has written this book, which is just 10 games in nearly 200 pages. So every game has been dedicated something like 10 to 20 pages in the book, something between that mark. And it's really amazing. On every move, there are so many variations. Okay, let's look at one more now. John Wong says Kasparov is a master of dynamic targets learned from Alekhine. Yes, I agree with you. Kasparov did learn from Alekhine's games. He always says that when he was young, he learned from Alekhine's games. Uh, but also look at this, Kasparov would never have been Kasparov if his opponent wasn't Karpov. Karpov was such a strong opponent. He put Kasparov to so much pressure. Their match in 1984, where they played nearly 48 games without a real winner coming out, 5 games to 3. Then playing 5 world championships in succession between 85 to 90. It just made Kasparov the champion that he is. And it shows that whenever you have adversity staring down your face, whenever you face difficulties, it can always be an opportunity to improve. Yeah. So that's the reason why I would say that don't think if you are facing a tough opponent or if you have a tough pairing to say, oh my god, this is not something that I wanted. I would have been very happy if I would have got an easier pairing, but every tough situation is an opportunity to improve. So take that. Joe Durban asks, have you been sleeping at the Chess Base India office? Well, no, I kind of have a studio like setting at my house, so I can just wake up from my bedroom and come to this room and start recording. Arun Dixit says, it can be said without doubt that Kasparov is an unbelievably strong opponent, strong player, but why does he play mind games with his opponents? Well, it's just like what Kasparov is. He likes to he doesn't enjoy chess when it's not kind of, how do you put it, simple, just everything is happening normally. That's not his style. That's more like wishy. He likes to keep simple. Even in his books he says, I don't like to unnecessarily sledge my opponent or say something bad about him just to work him up. And these are just different characteristics of players. uh yeah, I think everyone would know this game. This game is one of the most brilliant games played by Kasparov. Um, John Wong again mentions that Karpov taught him the art of playing in static positions. He was dynamically very strong, and that made him a complete player. You are right. Split Rook says, can we buy the video footage of Kramnik girlfriend camp? No, not really. It was just for the youngsters, so you cannot get it. Yes, all those who say the move rook into d4, well done. This is one of Kasparov's most famous games. In fact, we have a survey that's going on right now on different platforms, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube community section, where we are asking people to tell their favorite games of Garry. And one game which is way above everything else is this one, Kasparov versus Topalov. This is from 1999 Linares. And if you take CD, which he did, by the way, here is a very strong move for black, which Topalov missed. Let's see if you can find it. Black to move. Well, many of you said you have checked this on Agad Matar's channel. Yes, he has made a nice video out of this. Arka, you're not giving me any answers today. Ayan Sabarwal says, if you weren't a chess player journalist, what would you be? Well, judging from what I'm doing in the last 20 days, maybe a teacher. John Wong says Kasparov came to Singapore in August 2010 to explain this game and he was his assistant. Wow, that's wonderful. How was your experience meeting Kasparov when you met him? Did you enjoy that experience? And how many here have actually uh, played against Kasparov? Oh, sorry, not played, but have met him. Or maybe some Simon you have played with him. Yes, all those who say the move king b6, well done. This is the move that would have given Topalov a good position. It leads to equality because after b4, you can take and play knight into d5, and somehow black is easily surviving here. But such a move is is so difficult to play when your opponent has sacrificed the rook. It's like he's coming with you with a stick and you are like very calm and you just stop him. It's very difficult. So when he took, Topalov being an aggressive player himself immediately took the rook. uh, so here John Wong says he did not calculate everything until Topalov started moving his king forward. Yes, that's true because after this, what should white play here? What should white play here? Because if you take queen into d4, then I have queen b6. If you give a check, I have knight d7. And somehow I'm surviving completely here. So what should white play? Shank says I recently played Pragnananda on Lee Chess, but a 15-second each game. Oh, that's really less. I think Prag would have won that. He's pretty fast. Mayur Gondhalekar says the only people I have met and interacted are Jack Peters, Silman, Sagar, seen from a close distance, Anand, and one other GM in US. Don't remember his name. Okay. Um, yeah, Rook e7 is the correct move. All of you who said this move, well done. It's like one sacrifice, then the next. Now this one cannot be taken because if you take this, this leads to a checkmate. Check here. Check. Oops, not knight b7. Knight c6, king a8, and there's a mate. So therefore, king b6 was played after rook e7. And now Kasparov took here, takes b4, king a4, and yeah, what should white do here? Now you see white is a rook and a piece down. That's why this game is very famous. Kasparov hadn't seen it all, but he felt that the king on a4 cannot be safe. What should you do here? Partha Pratimnath says Kasparov's moves are more simple in comparison to Alekhine. I disagree. I feel Alekhine's games were much simpler to understand. Kasparov's games are just too complicated. Maybe it's also because he played in the modern era. There is more analysis on his games. Somehow there are so many lines. If you want to analyze his games, I would recommend uh, that anyone who wants to improve their attacking play, wants to improve their calculation, wants to improve their art of how to create sort of mm, in dynamic positions, how to play well, should study the games of Kasparov. It's very, very important that you do so. And I think it was even Kramnik who said at the recent camp that through Kasparov's games, he actually learned what it means to play dynamic chess. There were some games between Kramnik where Kasparov completely outplayed him. Yes, there are two good moves here. In fact, the best move was rook a7, threatening to take on a6 at the right time. There's this very nice variation which was given by Tachnik, who says knight into d5, take on a6, queen a6, and now queen b2. The point is to give a checkmate here. So you take, so you have to give a check. Queen takes bd5, and here king b2. And this is how it's winning, because next move, let's assume that you play something like this, or you play rook c8, then I go here, takes and mate. Very nice mate. In fact, even a prettier line could be queen e6, you take on e6, f e6, and then just with these pawns you checkmate the king here. Beautiful, very beautiful. Okay, so in this position, Kasparov played queen c3, which means that he can give a check here. And then he took queen d5, rook a7, bishop b7 is kind of forced, because if you go rook d6, the problem is king b2. And every time king b2 is played, you want to play queen d4 to pin here. But once you have this rook which is doing double duty, it doesn't help. So you go here, I can take, and checkmate you. So that is why bishop had to defend a6. And then came king here, rook into b7, because if you play king b2, then queen d4. This is the main idea. Take queen c4, queen into f6. Now a6 is hanging, so king into a3, queen takes, king b4. And I think this is where Kasparov was just too good. He could calculate deeply even in such positions, which was not very easy for other people to do it. Like, what should white do here? You see, it seems like he's run out of checks, and next move coming up is rook d1 and then queen c3 with a mating attack. Yeah, all of you are saying, a lot of people uh, have met a lot of famous GMs here. That's very nice to know. Yeah, here the right move. Okay, if you take this, then I can just take with the queen and seems like winning for black. But the strong move is c3, very good. Now the point is you can't take with the queen because b5 would hang. So you must play here king into c3. If king b3, then check here, check, and this move. So again, this such moves are very difficult to find, but Kasparov does it with ease. Now bishop f1 is coming up and you can't stop it. So we have to learn from his attacking technique, and this is what I say: when you analyze such games, you analyze these variations, like what should how should I mate him. You need to think. So for example, check. Now he can go to d3, he can go to e3, he can go to d1, he can go to e1. All the moves have to be analyzed. If you do this task on your own, you're anyway becoming a very strong player. Now you will see that if it goes on the e file, there is always rook e7 check. If he goes to d3, there is bishop f1 check, winning the queen. So then king d1. But to see it in your practice session makes you a stronger player. Okay. So bishop f1 was a tremendous move here. The point being, if queen takes here, then check, king e1, and rook e7 with a checkmate coming up. So rook d2 was played, but now came a powerful move, rook to d7. I think this move was what Topalov missed, as has been pointed out with um, John Wong. Yeah, he pointed out here. Ahmad Justin says, do you think Kasparov could have envisioned the last move? I don't think so. As also John Wong, who was with Kasparov, pointed out that it was more an intuitive sacrifice where Kasparov felt the king outside cannot survive, and so he played it. So here, rook d7, and now take on c4, and then finally, as someone had pointed out, if the rook were on g8, this would have not worked, because now you pick up the rook and you win the game. So this is the main idea also of this session today, is not to indulge in the thorough analysis of his games. This is your homework. The thorough analysis part is your homework. What I want to do with you guys is to give you an idea of what are the best games of Garry Kasparov. If you know them, this is something that you can have with you for a lifetime, So uh, if someone would have shown me all the best games of Kasparov when I was young, would have been very nice to know it. Okay, we come to the most famous game of Kasparov versus Karpov. This was from their last World Championship match in Lyon, 1990, and it is. By the way, Divyanshu is here and he says, I had presented this game in our Saturday class, fond memories. Wonderful. Divyanshu is, well, he lives in Ghatkopar where I live, and I had Saturday classes for nearly several years, maybe for 5 to 6 years, every Saturday from 3 to 6 p.m. And Divyanshu was one of them. Well, now he studies in IIT Kharagpur, and is was a very talented composer. I don't know, Divyanshu, if you still compose positions, but it's very nice to see you here, still interested in chess. Okay, so this is Kasparov versus Karpov, and 1990, game number 20. And this just shows what sort of calculations Kasparov could do. By the way, there's also a video on YouTube about this game where Kasparov shows his analysis. And here I would like you to think, what should white play? Okay, think about it. Think of the imbalances in the position. What are the imbalances? And let's try to understand. Sumed, I'll be sharing the list of these games with you in the database so you guys can study those games. And also there will be an article coming up on Chess Base India today. So you know, no, this is not the game where the knight on d3 dominated the pieces. That's another game, which we can have a look after this. Knight f1 is a good move here. It's a possible move, not a bad one, but let's look at, see, this is the thing which I really dislike, which is where you suggest a move, so it's like all the training which has taken place becomes pointless. You're like, what's the most spectacular move? He's showing great moves by Kasparov, let's sack a pawn. The thing is, this, of course, this pawn sack makes no sense, like, what is the point? I'll just play, maybe if you attack me on this diagonal, I'll just go g6 bg7. It's just a clear clean pawn up. What I would like you to do is think of what are the imbalances in this position. White has more space, that is correct. Soumya Mahesh, white has more space here. And also, if you look at it, black is trying to go for f5 to actually activate his bishop. This bishop is currently a bad piece, but f5 will make it into a strong one. Also, if you think about it, you already have one bishop, the other one sort of looking in this direction. The knight is also pretty well placed, the queen can join in. So overall, you have a lot of play in this position on the king side, so it might be a good idea to actually bring your pieces, one more piece into the game, which is not playing, which is this guy here on rook on a1. And that's where the move that was played, well done. I think I can see a few moves: Sumed Ramteke, Rishila Banerjee, Pradeep Das, Arun Dikshit, who say the move rook to a3. Uh, anyway, Karpov says my pieces are passive. I must open up the position. He plays f5, and now Kasparov plays rook a e3. So knight f6, knight h2, king h8, b3, takes, takes, c4. Well, if you take on c4, I'll take on e4. So bishop b2, f into e4, knight into e4, and take this pawn, rook g3. And we reach this position where I want you guys to understand what top level calculation is all about. So this is a game where I want you to understand how these players actually calculate. So you will see that white has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6, and all the pieces beautifully placed. So if you have to calculate a move like knight h6 here, it becomes like, in the game he took. Now you have to look at rook h6 first. Now when you look at rook h6, what should white play here next is the question. And I find this variation to be absolutely brilliant. I mean, it shows Kasparov's spatial ability, the ability to look at the board without having any blocks in the mind. It's beautiful. So uh, what should white play here? Queen g4 is possible. Yes, it's a possibility. But then maybe I'll just go queen g6. Sorry, not queen g6. I have to look at it. A queen g4. What should I play here is a question. By the way, a big thanks to Rahul Anil Bhagwat, who says, wish you a healthy, happy life, although it's not your birthday. Well, and he's contributed 1000 rupees. Thank you so much for your kind gesture. Greatly appreciated. Well, threatening here, bishop g7. Maybe I can go c3 here. That's the point. Yeah, c3 might be a good move. And also a big thanks to Mukilan Bala, who's contributed 57 rupees, saying it's better to have a bad plan than no plan, Gary. And his 57th birthday of Kasparov, so 57 rupees. Thank you. Uh, yeah, knight d6 is the correct move. But now I play, let's say, queen into e1. So you take, and now of course if I take with the bishop on d6, then bishop g7. So I take with the rook. What's happening here? Can anyone calculate? And precisely this is very difficult in chess. When the pieces are all on the open board like this, you need to calculate very precisely. What do you do now? Well, if you play queen to e5, possible. It's not an impossible thing. Um, I'm looking at c3 again because I feel like but then you have yeah, c3 looks good because then if you give me a check I can go rook h6. The correct move is queen e4, threatening a mate here. Okay, and if knight d3, which was played, the other move could be rook h6 here. And then what do you do now? Rook h6. Okay, in the game there's one line with knight d3, but you see the complexity. And many times when people say how should I improve my calculation, well, it's by analyzing such positions. It may happen in your game, it may happen in Kasparov's game, wherever, but try to analyze. It's not so trivial. What to do now? What should white play here after rook h6? Bishop c1 doesn't look so good. Maybe it's the best move, but I'm not sure. Bishop c1. Rook g6. Yeah, that looks interesting. Rook g6. Then rook h5. Perhaps queen g4. Yeah, rook g6. I'm sure Kasparov had seen this. Rook g6 is fine. Rook h5. And now maybe you can go queen g4 and that should be good enough to win. Yeah. So if he goes knight d3, now you give a check, king here, and once again, what to play here as white? Now finish off your opponent. What should white play here? Again, a tough move, actually. Computers will say it's completely winning, but over the board, it's very difficult. Chanchal Ja, good move. But what's the next move after your move? Give a continuation. Rima Singh, all of you who say in this position, yes, Chanchal Ja, you are right. New Patel is absolutely right. Yeah, Aditya, you are right. Practical thinking says I've met all the top players on YouTube. Okay. Yeah, if we didn't take queen into even Pankaj, that we'll look at in the game. But here takes queen g4 is just terrific. Like you're attacking this bishop. There is absolutely no way any of these pieces can defend it. And this is what I mean by understanding the board, the seeing the space on the board properly. Like if I had to look at, say, 5 moves down the line or 6 moves down the line, queen g4, I would have got confused, and many top players would have got confused. But Kasparov is very precise. He has this board in his head, fixed, scanning everything, and this is just one of the many hundred variations that he looked at. That's why this game is so beautiful. Karpov played c3. By the way, just to give you an idea, takes knight d6. If queen d7, you go queen g4. And the point is, after queen takes, you give an intermediate check, take here with a check, and take this, and you're winning. So these are some of the very pretty lines. c3 was played, and Kasparov played knight f5. Now looking at the queen joining in to the attack. cb2, queen g4. Again, it's just feel, the aggression. It's like he's given up his piece, but now he threatens knight into g7 here. Bishop c8, check. Rook h6 was played. Because if you go king g8, then well, there are many ways to win, but let's not get into this. Rook h6, now take, and here I want you to think, what would white play? It's kind of the last accurate move in the game. White to move. What should white play here? This was a tough move which Kasparov again found on the board. And remember, this is a world championship match, high pressure, intensity. Well, if you play knight g5 here, Geeta Ritesh, then queen into e1 check, you have to contend with it what to do, because then after king h2, queen into b1, knight f7, king here, perhaps it's not a mate. Again, if you go knight d6, then same thing, queen e1, king h2, queen b1. Well, this move is really very tough, and I would be okay if you didn't find it, because it's really not easy, and I think no one has found this move yet. Sayan Roy. Sayan Roy knows this, he has found it. Edwin Glass as well, Funny Verma. But can you imagine making a move in middle of the entire attack is going? You are looking at moves like knight f6, knight d6, knight g5. Then all of a sudden you play the move king h2, and you're like, next move. Now everything is coming. There's a mate coming up because e1 doesn't hang with a check. Beautiful play. It shows how Kasparov is able to intertwine all the attacking ideas so very well. Queen e5, knight g5, queen f6, rook e8, bishop f5, and now you need to finish off your opponent. What do you do here? There are two ways to win. One is the spectacular way, one is the less spectacular way, I would say. Yeah. Well, all of you have found the spectacular way to win, which is queen into h6. And by the way, the easier way was to give a check with the knight. Now you must take it. You have to take queen at 6, bishop h7 again, the only move. Now rook a8. Threat is to take rook into f8 followed by mate. So the only defense is knight f6. Take, 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 and mate. So knight f7 was faster, but Kasparov, well, who misses the opportunity to sacrifice a queen in a world championship match? Takes, check, king h7, bishop f5 check, queen g6, take on g6, king g7, rook 8. And here, from being materially down, now he is a rook and an exchange up. And in this position he resigned because after takes it's just winning for white. And here anyway I can just stop your pawn. So beautiful game. I think one of the best games of Kasparov. It also shows there's so much to learn from his games. What I would really like you guys to do is go over these games that I'll be sharing with you in the database, and I'll show you also how to share it. For example, uh, so I have this database here with the best games of Kasparov, around 18 games I have. Maybe one of them is a loss of Kasparov, but just I had taken them out. So I select all of them on Chessbase. I right click and I go to output and I say publish to web. It says one click. I say okay. And once that is done, I get this entire page with all the games. Very easy to actually create this. I copy it and I will put it in the chat so that all of you can download it whenever you like, and or you can just go through these games and learn from Kasparov. My suggestion is that try to not just look at the games and the moves, but also understand what you would play. So the best way I do it is, I would say, if you have Chessbase 15, then try to look at the games in this way, in replay training mode. So here is the replay trainer, and then what you can say is I want to be Kasparov, so you play e4 and it plays the opponent's moves. So here knight f3, e6, d4 takes, and you get points for each of the moves. So I'm 17 out of 17 here. Knight c3, knight b5, d6, bishop f4, bishop g5, knight a3, b5, knight d5, c3. No, that's not. Oh, sorry, knight d5 is coming. So bishop takes, c3, knight c2, a4, rook takes, rook b4, take, b4. I mean, I know this game, so I'm making all the moves. But you see, one move I made wrong. I lost points, and I am now 87. And I think it's very important for all of you to actually use this function because you can't see the move. So now you don't know, you think about it, okay, should I do bishop e2 here? Okay, let's play bishop e2, and it says your move is okay, but the game continued this way. And if your move is good, your points are not minused. So it checks with an inbuilt engine, and also with the best move played in the game, move played in the game. And if you make either of the two, you do not get your points deducted. So I think this is what I wanted to show today. And if you have to see all of these games, get chessbase 15 if you don't have one, and try to look at them through the replay training function. Okay. uh, yes, Omkar Brahma Bhatt says this position was used in the movie Chichore. Yeah, I think so, you're right, absolutely. um, I think today's class, we've covered a lot of things. Someone said, what about um, the king safety? I think we saw so many games with kingside attacks, and we saw so many games today as well, previously in the last class as well. By the way, we have to look at Nihal's position, if I'm not mistaken. So let's just quickly have a look at it. I think queen g6 takes, check, king here, check, king here. By the way, you need to kind of take the queen. If you go king g8, I go knight g5, and it's just winning. Yeah. Oops, sorry. Yeah. If you go king g8, I go knight g5, and that's just game over, because if you take check, king here, mate. I received some homework from people. So Aditya has sent, even Karan has sent. There are a lot of people who have sent in some of their games. Take, check, king g5, and now came this really nice move. I hope you have seen it. White to move. What should white do? Hemant Justin says, can you do some sort of a quiz after 21 days? Best three players to score highest points perhaps can win a discount for chessbase 15. Well, maybe tomorrow is the day when we'll revise everything that we have learned in this 21 days. So definitely don't miss out on tomorrow's class, because we have to revise everything. Yes, rook d4 is the correct move. Now I'm threatening rook h5 mate, and if you play g6, then knight f7 is mate. Here, actually, it's quite easy to say that it's all over, but then you realize that actually queen into a2 is a very powerful strike. You must take, because if you go king c1, there is queen a1 followed by queen d4 at the very least. So you take, and then rook c2, and here you will see that black is actually two pieces up. So if you play a move like king here, then rook c1 is a very powerful move. Takes, and then, well, gf6, and it's just winning for um, black. But so you play king b1, and here now you ask the question, how are you going to stop this mate? g6 is still met with knight f7, and then white comes up with this very nice move. Sorry, black comes up with this very nice move. I hope you have seen it, which is here, rook h2. Yeah, queen c2 was a mate, I agree. Takes, and now comes bishop d3. This is what made this puzzle beautiful, because if you move your king and go just bishop g6, I stop rook h5, and you are just losing the game as white. So rook d3, and now I think this is where it is important to calculate. Many of you may think that this is all over, but after say gf6, you need to calculate. There is also a possibility of going knight b5, stopping rook d4 again. Because if you make any random move, like let's say rook c8, then after rook d4, it's once again checkmate. Rook h5, and there's no way to stop it. So you go gf, rook d4, fe, check, king f6, and rook d1. And here, after the next move, check, and the knight coming out, actually white has advantage. But it's still a game, you can still continue playing. And this is why this puzzle was so beautiful, because first it was white who sacrificed the queen for an attack, and then it was black who sacrificed his queen for defense. And I hope that you enjoyed this position. I think it was the end evaluation is that white is better, but he has to play accurately in order to win. By the way, Soham, you need to, in order to download the games from the list that I have sent, you need a Chessbase account, premium account. If you don't have it, you can get one. If you don't wish to get one, you can always check these games and download it from somewhere, because you have the list that is more important. Okay, so this was the homework and this is what we did. I hope that tomorrow uh, we can revise everything that we have learned. Please join me. Tomorrow is the last session. Um, well, based on tomorrow, we'll look at it whether we can extend or not. But I would be keen that all of us meet tomorrow. If you would like to contribute, please do so through the super chat and also through the pay you money link. I think tomorrow would be the last one of the last days. Um, well, later on, if I can get some top players, perhaps they may raise funds. But the 21-day session which we wanted to do regarding imbalances has kind of gone pretty well. I hope that it has helped you to become a better player. And if you have any feedback or anything, please write to me on Chessbase India. I would like either today or tomorrow from anyone who has learned seriously from this class to write a feedback, like did you enjoy the class, did you learn from it, because that would help me to become a better trainer, better presenter. And if you enjoyed it, please let me know there, so that I can maybe publish it in on Chessbase India, and I can say, okay, these are the people who really liked it, these are the people who did not like it, whatever be your feedback. So please let me know there. By the way, someone has donated $10. Shashwat Anand, thank you so much, Shashwat, for your kind donation. I will see you guys tomorrow. If you are in Morocco, well, wake up at 4:30. If you are in Denmark as well, if wherever you are, um, I hope that we will meet tomorrow for one last time. Shashwat Anand said, recently finished reading Kasparov's book Deep Thinking, recommended for folks interested in deep blue matches, also very interesting for someone interested in machine learning and neural networks. Well, Shashwat, today I will publish a video by Frederick Friedel who talks about just this match. He was helping Kasparov as a, you can say, not a second chess wise, but a computer expert. And so he talks about this match and in a video which I have shot. So maybe that would be interesting to you. Anish Adiga says, if we buy a premium account, when will we get serial number? Well, if you buy it immediately, you get it immediately, because that's what we have introduced in the Chessbase India shop. Okay, so okay, let's meet tomorrow and I will look forward to your mails. Uh, well, and today and tomorrow you can send in your mails and we will meet tomorrow and discuss the final sort of roundup of the imbalances. So thank you all for contributing today. Well, all those who are new ones, haven't subscribed to Chessbase India channel, please do so. Um, and Setu Minocha says, how can we do imbalances in blitz games? Well, it's very difficult. I would say you need to be really good at it so that it becomes a part of you. Like, as I said, Your subconsciously you are using this technique, and that thing can help you in blitz games, because if you sit down in a blitz game and try to calculate all the imbalances, that would take a lot of time. Okay, guys, see you. And KSB Gaming says chessbase 15 is for how much? Well, it's for 3,715. Its actual cost is 100 euros, but on chessbase India, if you are an Indian, Bangladeshi, Sri Lankan, Filipino, Thai, um, Malaysian, all of these countries, there are 8 countries in all, get it at this discounted price because they cannot afford it. So many of them cannot afford, so we have reduced these prices. So go to chessbase.in and try to and you will get it there in the online shop. Okay, see you, bye. Yeah, the email address is chessbaseindia@gmail.com for all of those who want to write. Atul was here. Atul, last comment from you. Good to see you. And by the way, all those who are here can subscribe to Atul's channel. He's starting to make a lot of nice YouTube videos where you can learn a lot from him. Cheyenne says bye from Colombia. Okay, wonderful, Cheyenne. That's very nice. We have um, someone from. I mean, we have Angela who's in India, but I guess you must know her. Bhupnath, I want to buy Encyclopedia 2020. Do it. There's also a video where I tell what it's all about. You can have a look at it. Okay. So see you guys and see you tomorrow. Bye.